After a weekend full of information from so many of Disney's divisions at D23, the ultimate fan event, we have so much to talk about, specifically coming from Pixar Animation Studios. I want to give a comprehensive breakdown of all the new information we've received about projects we've known about and the ones we're just now hearing about, and providing any potential insight from all things from movies to shorts to theme parks. I waited until the end of the event to start writing this because additional information was sprinkled all throughout the weekend, but the first day at the entertainment panel, we potentially saw the most from Pixar, depending on who you ask. And like I said, every division presented here for the most part, but I think Pixar brought the most to the table for sure. We got the official release date for Win or Lose, which will be landing on Disney Plus on December 6th. We have a new trailer and a plethora of artwork to look at now. No news on additional cast, even though the first two episodes were played in their entirety. The reactions were nothing but positive, which isn't a surprise. It's what we've been hearing for the better part of 2 years. Obviously, it's a fan event. I doubt people would be hating, but the footage we saw speaks for itself. It's a short trailer, but the animation is kinetic, utilizing many new animation styles for the company, with a lot of out-of-the-box ideas to visually display a myriad of interpersonal stories. The marketing officially starts here, and I hope they can give it some love over the next few months. We got what is, I guess, the official announcement of Dream Productions, though we've been talking about it for some time now. It's going to take place in between the two Inside Out films, of course, at Dream Productions, and star Paula Pell as Paula Persimmon, the director at Dream Productions in the first film, now officially named to my knowledge, and Richard Ayoade as Zenny, another director she's teaming up with, supposedly trying to make the next big tween dream hit for the studio. And to add more intrigue to the projects, it's actually going to be presented as a mockumentary, which makes sense given the setting, and it's a TV show, so it's even more fitting there. It sounds like a lot of fun. It had some displays at the pavilion with some new artwork as well, and they even played the first episode in its entirety for the attendees. And while it wasn't touched on specifically, I think it's going to be a series of shorts rather than a long-form series, especially as it's set to come out only a few months after Win or Lose. Elio got a lot of information, not as much to those not privy to behind-the-scenes information, but we did get this gorgeous piece of concept art. And if you look around, there's a really cool new trailer that's probably cut for a November release out there. Of course, it's in a not so great quality and I can't show it here. We now know that Adrian Molina has left the project, but is still credited as a director because of the substantial work he did prior. And now stepping in, getting the film over the finish line, is Domi Shi, Turning Red's director, who we've heard was now involved in Elio, along with Madeline Sharafian, director of the Spark short Burrow. The changes made to the film have been revealing themselves here and there. We now know that Zoe Saldana has joined the cast, voicing Aunt Olga. Last we heard, Olga was Elio's mother, and she was voiced by America Ferrera, who has seemed to have left the project due to scheduling conflicts. Another small change is Ambassador Grygon is now being titled Lord Grygon. Who knows, there might be some story plot points in there somewhere. Doctor stated that one primary change from the new version of the film and the last is now that the character Elio is someone audiences can more connect to. And based on the footage I saw, I can kind of start to see this take shape. He seemed like a lonely kid, but now he's able to make a new friend out of Glorden, that non-ambassador that showed up in the McDonald's line, who appeared in some artwork. We actually find out that he's a kid like Elio, so they might be able to touch on their intergalactic friendship, but the artwork and setting of the film continue to look strong. Also, the new green fit Elio is rocking in this new artwork is pretty cool. The next film after Elio is a newly announced original entitled Hoppers, directed by Daniel Chong, who I theorized in the last video. The concept of this film is that scientists have created a way for humans to hop their consciousness into lifelike robotic animals, and with this they're able to communicate with them. Our main character Mabel, voiced by Piper Curda, utilizes this technology to uncover mysteries of the animal world. We know she hops into a beaver from the pieces of concept art we got, with the beaver named King George voiced by Bobby Moynihan also announced in the cast. Moynihan previously voiced Chet in Monsters University, but also a main character in Chong's We Bare Bears, so it makes sense that he's here now. John Hamm was also announced for the cast, playing Mayor Jerry, who may be the antagonist of this movie. It seems like he's working against these beavers based on the description. I'm excited to hear more about this project. It comes out March 2026. I can't wait to see all the animals and what mysteries they have to uncover within the forest. Toy Story 5 got a little plot synopsis, some story details, and a piece of concept art that has caused quite the discourse. They also released a little video that has the official logo and some of the characters in it. None of it is new animation though, it's coming from the old Apple Watch videos. We now know that this movie will be taking on the toys versus electronics angle, as the concept art we see shows our familiar toys watching as Bonnie's tablet lights up the covers over her head. We see Slinky Dog, Rex, Ham, Jesse, Bullseye, Buzz Lightyear, Forky, and the big topic of debate, Woody himself. We don't know why Woody is there right now. Obviously, he knows Bonnie's address. He wrote it for Andy in Toy Story 3. We don't know if he's just stopping by or if some event happened that brought him back. One event that may have caused Woody to check in on his old friends is perhaps he ran into the rogue, malfunctioning Buzz Lightyears. Perhaps our Buzz is affected by this, playing into a secondary toy versus tech theme. I hope that the crew Woody was with at the end of the fourth film also shows up and actually have roles in this film, especially Bo. It would be weird moving away from her now, but we'll have to wait and see for more info. The surprise announcement to end off Pixar's showcase on night one was the one and only Incredibles 3. A sequel I'm sure we're not too surprised would exist following Disney's new initiative, but I wasn't expecting an announcement this early, and the cherry on top is that Brad Bird is coming back. A few things to unpack here. First off, Brad Bird is still developing Raygun, his sci-fi detective project, which has been his passion project for like 3 decades or more at this point. That film is set to release on Netflix in 2026, but Bird certainly could be working on both. He may have been writing the script or mapping out story ideas for years at this point. That all being said, I'd expect this to come out in 2028 at the earliest. This is all under the assumption that Brad Bird is writing and directing the feature. I assume for this to be the case, but we just know that he's involved in some way. Why name drop him if this isn't the case, though, you know? Many were completely surprised at his comeback, but I remember thinking something was up when he showed up in the Q&A award consideration video for Elemental last year. We know that Pixar has a 2027 release date set, but I think it's clear this one is further out, as they easily could have dated it then and there. So I'm going to stick with the summer of 2028 as the most likely release, but I could see this releasing in 2029 as well. This announcement seemed to be the crown jewel of the entertainment showcase. Yes, many have called out Disney making a lot of sequels, but The Incredibles really is just that guy, I guess, since most are ready to see it through. Before I move on to the announcements from the following days, I must point out or really eat crow in regard to some rumors I've been talking about as of late, specifically that Ducks musical, and while some initial reports of it happening said it could release in 2027, I don't think it's worth harping on, and if it ends up being true, I'd be excited. If not, I'm sure there's plenty of other great projects in the works. Part of me still believes it for whatever reason, but I will not subject you all to that any further. I'd also like to point out how the last two D23 presentations from Pixar have ended with a surprise sequel announcement. My guess is D23 2026. They will announce a Monsters Inc. follow-up, a sequel coming from Pixar, so remember this, everyone. The Disney parks aren't something I really cover on my channel unless it's briefly to discuss the franchise's staying power or synergy throughout the company's verticals, but at these events, and especially this year, they had some immense presence, so I'll quickly go over the announcements they made for Pixar's intellectual property. Coco is going to be receiving its first attraction with a boat ride in Disney's California Adventure. They stated it was taking inspiration from some of the park's most iconic rides. Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. This makes sense considering it's a boat ride within the land of the dead, and I'll be excited to see how these animatronics all turn out. The concept art looks quite fun, and I'm hoping they have the scale that they can really capture the grand setting of the film. Over in Florida, in Magic Kingdom, they're building 2 new Cars rides, replacing the Tom Sawyer's Islands and Rivers of America area in Frontierland, which has been quite the hot topic online. Obviously, I'm a Cars fan with the nature of my channel, so I'm excited for this. I think it'll give more to do in the area than what existed before, but I know many appreciate the atmosphere and don't want too much IP. Also, sure, these type of vehicles don't exactly fit the time period they're going for. With the grander concept art, I'm hoping that these sightlines can show distinction from the cars with the rest of the land, but I personally think the vast landscapes will look quite nice, and maybe they can even have a sort of walking trail resemblant of what came before in the land. The ride itself, or the big one they showed off, seems to take you on a trail through all sorts of different locations in the wilderness, and the secondary ride looks like it may be a flat ride with pitties as the focus, and I'm all for that. Also, the concept art looks like Radiator Springs 500 and a half, and I just think that's a cool little shout out. It's probably not even intentional, but there you go. The next announcement was one of the bigger ones, being a Monsters Inc. land, or let's call it what it is, Monstropolis, being built in Hollywood Studios. And along with it will be a new roller coaster, being Disney's first suspended coaster, which tackles the door room in the first film. I think this is just a sick idea all around. I hope they can build a Harryhausen's here and maybe have a show if they have the room, a point I'll get to shortly. It would be cool if they could get some new Monsters University representation in there as well. Those MU ball caps have been printing money for over a decade. Maybe the lecture hall at the Scare Building could be a theater for a show even. This has also recently struck up quite the discourse, as there's no details as to where this will go yet, so minds have just been racing. Where are they going to put this in the park? I think it would be nice if this went right next to Toy Story Land and they could flesh out more of a Pixar connective tissue throughout one side of the park, perhaps taking over the animation courtyard. And that way you wouldn't have to walk too far for more Randy Newman music, I guess. Also, though, that animation courtyard area is just barren. I don't see a reason to get rid of Muppet Vision 3D. In reality, though, Pete Docter is a really big fan of the Muppets, so I don't know how he'd feel about the film he brought to life, replacing Jim Henson's final role as Kermit. But this is all a topic for those Disney Parks channels that are far more suited in this field. Also, the A Bug's Life attraction, It's Tough to Be a Bug, is closing, I guess, any month now for the new Zootopia show opening next winter, which is a shame. Let our bugs have something, man. But we are getting all this nice new Pixar stuff at the parks, and I'll be interested in seeing how it all comes to life. The Parks and Experiences panel also announced The Incredibles coming to Fortnite. A bit out of place, but there you go. We'll see where this collaboration goes in the future. And that was all from D23, or so most would think. On the final day, Jay Ward had a presentation, and it centered on the upcoming series of what are now being called LEGO Pixar Brick Tunes. What is this, you may ask? Well, next to nobody is talking about these, so we can only infer for a lot of it. I assume they're just a series of animated shorts in the LEGO style, utilizing these beloved Pixar franchises and using the typical LEGO parody humor that you see in the existing LEGO games and specials. They've been doing a lot of these recently with the LEGO group, particularly on Disney Plus. They've had a lot of Star Wars ones, a Frozen one, and I'm interested in seeing how they are going to do Pixar. I'm a big fan of both of these things, so this is right up my alley. The shorts we're going to be seeing are coming from 5 different franchises, being Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Brave, and Coco. Most of these are some of Pixar's most iconic, but I'm surprised the likes of Toy Story or Inside Out didn't get grouped in here. But it's nice seeing Brave get a shout out. Aside from Finding Nemo, all these have pre-existing LEGO pieces they're building off of. Technically, some brick-built Finding Nemo characters do exist, but they aren't in the same smaller minifigure scale or anything, so I'm surprised they went with this one. These will probably release pretty soon. I've seen some rumors for September even, so we should get some official press releases and trailers soon. I think they can get a lot out of this concept though, and if they ever want to do it, here's where they could do a crossover from all those franchises. That does it for this year's D23, so we have the next couple years pretty mapped out. I could see them penciling in some new shorts here and there, but I'm excited all around for what they've shown off, and I can't wait to see them all come to fruition. Bob Iger also said the same weekend on Good Morning America that he would love an Inside Out 3, and obviously he would. Is this anything concrete? No, that film is likely 2030 at the earliest. I could see them trying to find a story for it right now, though. That's all for the video today, though. There's surely a lot going on for Pixar from the big screen to the small screen and even in person at the parks. Let me know what you're most excited for. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.